Hey, Huell heads, this is Donald from Apple Valley, California. You're listening to Chris and Ellen as they slimy through another episode of Huell's Gold. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Hello, everybody. I'm Huell Hauser. Hi, I'm Huell Hauser. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Huell Hauser. Hi, I'm Huell Hauser. Wait a minute. There's a helicopter coming here. Wait a minute. Oh, get out of here. Look. What is that? Let's get it out of here. Look at this. I thought one with my feet. Look at this. Oh, my God. And there they are, Louie, up there. That is an amazing sight to see as we continue our search for California's gold.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 68 of Huell's Gold. I'm Alan.
I'm Chris.
What do you think?
This is a horrible start. Yeah, so last week we were talking about how, it's another ship's Navy type one. And then I was going on about, there's these people who get all emotional. Not so much.
No, they talk about people.
About it. Yeah, so either way, we're in what we called last week Suisun Bay, but no. Suisun Bay.
That's how you spell it, right? Sueson.
Sure. No. Suisun.
Oh.
But we find out what that means later.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, it really started the same way that it did last week, where it's just like, bam, here's some footage. Huell's doing his talk, and then we get that Marine Corps version of the theme, which, again, didn't use, not gonna use.
Nah.
Just first thoughts on this as a topic.
You mean if someone were to say, hey, we're going to do a show in this area?
Yeah.
I would say, oh, cool. And what else?
Yeah. See, now, I really think that this and last week's episode maybe could have just been one.
Yes, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, the thing is this, though. We've talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
There are train people.
Yeah.
And there are ship people.
Yep, big time.
And I can tell that the people who work for this, the federal government, the workers that work there, they're very interested in ships. And even Huell is, I mean...
He was getting emotional.
Yeah, he was getting a little emotional.
It's weird.
So he was into it. But that would be my first pass if you were to say, hey, we're going to go look at some old ships just floating there.
Yeah.
And talk about them. I'd say, okay.
Because, Huell didn't really have to sell the show.
Right.
Episodes to people. He already had his deals, and he just sent them the tapes, and they played them. If I were a PBS owner, maybe I would think, really, Huell? This is it? And then I watch it, and it's always, that's the thing. There's always endearing parts to all these episodes. Mm-hmm. I think old Val and Gail really steal the show in this one.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah, we'll talk
Beyond
about it. Val's my favorite, yeah.
Okay, so let's just jump right into it.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Huell, hit it.
It must have been quite a sight. In fact, at first, it must have been hard to even tell what they were, what you were looking at. But back in 1946, right after World War II, if you'd been anywhere near Suisun Bay, which is located near the little town of Benicia, about 35 miles northeast of San Francisco, you'd have seen them. Hundreds and hundreds of them. Ships of every size and description. Merchant ships and warships, tankers and tugs. Now, they were brought to Suisun Bay and other places around the country as part of a mothball fleet. Some of them to be kept in ready reserve in case we needed them again in an emergency. Some of them eventually to be scrapped. And today, guess what? Suisun Bay is still full of old ships. Now, they're not as many as there were back in the 40s and 50s, but flying over them in a helicopter, they're an impressive sight. Rows and rows of ships. Some merchant, some military, some to be scrapped, and some part of the reserve fleet. But all of them part of our nation's naval past. Now, these days, the fleet is managed and cared for by the Maritime Administration, which is part of the U.S. Department of Transportation. The good people there invited us to spend the day at Suisun Bay for a close-up look at these wonderful old ships. And that was an invitation we couldn't refuse.
All right, so we start off with that invitation he couldn't refuse of being on a tiny little tugboat, I guess.
Right.
And we waste no time. We're just right in it. Huell is hanging out with Orville Valdez.
Yeah.
Now, I'm actually about to go to a meeting for my credential program right now, and one of the people there is a guy named Tab Tabor.
Tab Tabor?
Yeah. His first name is really I don't remember, Gary or something, but he goes by Tab. Tab Tabor. He makes lots of soda jokes about himself. He's a funny guy, beyond what just that old man joke that I told about was. I kind of want a nickname like that. Do you think?
Yeah. I got you one, but you're not a fan of it.
I hate it.
Okay, we won't go with that. So
You've been pushing it on me. You've been pushing it on me for years, too.
I won't say it on here because then people might give you flack for it. It'll be no good.
No kidding.
Just message me separately. I'll tell you.
So, like we said, there was a cold open with the stock footage, and I like the term for this thing. They called it the mothball fleet.
Yeah.
And it's pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, this is a whole fleet of ships that aren't used for anything. Who's in charge of this thing now?
This is the Maritime Administration. I'm sure there's a more formal.
There's probably 10 steps to that whole process.
When I was at the Department of Agriculture, we called this alphabet soup.
What that means?
Just a lot of acronyms and just.
Yeah.
There's technically the MARAD.
MARAD, the Marad?
The Marad, which is,
Yeah.
Go with that.
But, you heard in the clip, it's basically a bunch of old ships that the government owns from World War II and on that they just kind of are keeping chill in Suisun. And right off the bat, Huell is asking, why here? Old Valley Val wastes no time.
He just very pragmatic.
Mm-hmm.
Because the depth and the salt content.
This is brackish water.
Yeah, that's right.
Brackish. Had to look that one up, what that means.
I should say, too, as far as I can tell, Big O.
Yeah. Orville Valdez, yeah, Big O.
He is still kicking.
He's not letting go of this wild ride we call life just yet.
It seems like he's 85.
Ooh,
if
okay.
he's still with us, he's 85, living in Vallejo.
Yep, makes sense.
And as far as I can tell, he's never felt a day of stress in his life.
What are you basing this on?
Well, when we get to the end, when he asks for something.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. So right off the bat, Huell is mentioning the winds that are going. He seems to think that the wind would be detrimental to these ships just sitting in the bay, which I don't get. But I've only been on 3 ships in my life, and I threw up on 2 of them. So, yeah, whale watching's real fun. I mean, it is, but not when I'm seasick.
I've only been we don't have to talk about it. Been on a few boats,
but Big O says that Suisun is a Native American word that means Valley of the High Winds.
Yeah, so it fits.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, beyond that, I think we're watching the show now. We get about 4 minutes straight of just old ship footage. No breaks in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then bam, Gail Birch. And you said Gail's your favorite?
I liked Val, but I do like Gail too. But Val, I liked his low okay, here's some facts. Here's what you get.
Dude, speaking of facts, he had all of them because Gail mentions that she's only been there for 13 years at this point.
Which, it's...
I mean, that's
almost a decade and a half. So.
Yeah, but as far as this kind of place, it seems like she's definitely the noob of the group.
Yeah.
And okay, here's how I'm breaking down Val and Gail. Val, he's an old grizzled vet. He knows it all. He's seen it all. Not surprised by anything.
Yeah.
Val still has the twinkle in her eye, or Gail still has the twinkle in her eye, and very much like in love with this job she has.
So as a team, Vale.
Okay.
So what you say, they make a good team.
Yeah. Did you
You've
find
seen a lot.
anything on Gail?
No, I didn't. I did some searching for about 4 or 5 minutes too. I was actually trying to.
That's more than the average person would spend on.
That's true. I mean, I think there was an article where she went to go look at it was a bird sanctuary, and she was interviewed with her daughter. I don't know.
Oh.
But that's all I found. I couldn't find anything on, her profession.
Okay.
So.
Well, I mean,
I don't think Gail's her. Do you think it's her first name? I found a lot of Marcia Gales. Like that might have been a middle name. I don't know.
Well,
she worked for the federal government. We could look up, see if she has a pension.
I don't know if we need to disclose her.
Okay.
Her salary. Anyway, this duo definitely complements each other because Huell's like asking these kind of specific questions because they talk about that old ship, the Connecticut, and what it was, and then what's her face? Gail is like, what? She kind of trails off, and Val's like, it's a tanker. There's an old tanker. These are old tankers. and then Huell asks if like what's going on with the old Connecticut, and Gail says it's going to be scrapped, and that's when Huell he starts to personify these ships.
Yeah, he becomes a sad boy,
big time. He even throws in like "aw" at one point later, but he had some interesting questions. I guess as detailed of questions as you could have.
Yeah, well, we should say that Gail tried to make him feel a little better though.
About the
Connecticut?
She tried to
say, well, these ships, they're which it's funny, you can look at it two different ways, but what she tells Huell is that, the parts will allow other ships to live longer. I like how they're just...
It's funny, though, because she's still personifying it, because that's what people would say, he died in a car accident, but he was an organ donor.
Yeah, we just harvested the organs, and it's so great. It's still sad.
We harvested the hoist, and now it's on a merchant ship in Singapore. But yeah, Huell's asking about like the security on these ships, because... I mean, really, what is to stop a fool from just getting a little dinghy and just going out there and trying to jump on and threefold attack of security, right?
Yeah.
What do we got? We got land security. We got
Wawa.
Water security. And what they seem to think is fail-safe. The ladders. They're high. Gail went into so much detail about how like we have these hydraulic ladders, and they're only able to be dropped by a key that we keep in the office, and it's locked up.
And you have to kill a man to get to the key, to get to the code, to get the key.
It's so weird. Like, couldn't they just climb up all of these chains that are hooked all on the ladders?
And it's interesting too.
Anytime I saw someone break into a ship on like any movie, they're always climbing upside down on those kind of ropes,
Yeah.
Is
it a grappling hook?
Dude, yeah.
Just throw that on the side.
Speaking of, they kind of give it away right away how it could be broken into, because then, we're not there yet, but we're going to get to old Don Dunn in a second.
Old DD.
Double D. Dungeons and Dragons. He's definitely my favorite guy of this whole episode. Which, I mean, you could kind of tell based on, if you follow our Instagram account, I got a little excited.
That was wild.
About something that Don said. But still, like, it's weird because we watch these episodes while we're recording this at like 1.5 speed, just so we're not making these too crazy long. But we're 10.5 minutes in, and there's really just been this slow, plodding boat footage with that loud boat engine noise in the background. Ga, 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 the whole time. But there's Donnie Boy at about 10 minutes, 40 seconds. He's a launch operator. And did you see the comments on our Instagram, the Instagram post I put the other night?
Yeah.
That someone knows Don and is going to call him Old Don?
At the barbecue?
I don't know who that guy was. He like followed us right when I posted that. Guy or girl, I guess. I don't know who it is exactly or what. But was just saying like, oh, next time I see Old Don, I'm going to call him Old Don at the barbecue. I'm like, you really know him? Like, oh, yeah, he's a good guy.
Dang.
If this was you and you really know Don, get a message out from us at Huell's Gold to Donnie Dunny and get some stories out of him.
Or let's just go to the barbecue.
Yeah. Where's our invite?
Come on. Well, we should mention real quick, before we see old Big Daddy Don.
Yeah. Big Daddy Don.
Oh, dude, you were studying that piece of paper.
Did I miss something?
Oh, you were just focused. You're laser focused.
I don't want to miss anything. This episode,
Yeah.
there's really not a lot going on, so the details are...
Float on by, huh?
Yeah.
So, Gail talks about boats being just kind of camping out in between the two...
Oh, like the small boats.
Larger boats, yeah. And how they would
fishermen
just
and stuff.
get out of the wind and fish.
Mm-hmm. Because they describe that there's about 5 feet between these humongous ships here.
Yeah, what Huell calls them. Not like, oh, people bring out their own boats? That's so weird. He said, people bring out some pleasure craft?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what? So it was good.
I only ever hear that on like Gailey's Marine Supply commercials
Right.
in the 90s. But then we get a real great shot of Huell getting to go up that hydraulic ladder that I was talking about.
Yeah, did you see how Val grabbed the railings?
No.
Not how I would have grabbed them, straight on. But
Double.
Well, no, he's like his palms hit the front.
He did, didn't he? At about 13:05 or something. Well, this whole situation with the ladders is funny because it really seems like not a very necessary thing to show. But they made such a big deal about this ladder. Yeah. And Huell, it's funny because Huell, you can just feel his exuberance because as he's going up the ladder, oh boy. It's on the Instagram post I put. It's so funny.
So the shot just after all three of them go up the ladder.
Yeah.
You notice we have Gail,
Val,
and Huell.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to come up with a nickname for Gail, but I don't have one yet. We'll come up with one.
Yeah,
I want to be good. I like her, so I want to be good. So you notice that all three of them are wearing, two of them are wearing life jackets, and Big Val is not.
But it throws you off because his jacket is the same color.
Yeah, maybe he's wearing it under the jacket. I don't know.
Maybe he's just always got one on.
I thought I saw him mouth, "I'm not afraid to die."
When?
I'm just kidding.
No. Oh, man.
See, but it's believable.
I mean, you said you thought he didn't seem to have a shred of anxiety in his life.
And it's hard to tell, though, if that came after years of having seen it all, or he's just always been this way. It's hard to tell.
Well, I mean, when he's got the excitement of the fender.
True. That's
Okay.
true. Yeah.
So the fender is this 5-foot block of wood that they just shlami between the two boats to keep them from rubbing on each other. And they talked about it like 2 times prior. And then
it's been referred to as a fender. Gail referred to it as a fendering material.
It's just a block of wood that's like a bunch of 2x4s crisscrossed together.
Right. And the way that she describes it, we build it here. It's like, oh, really?
I think I could build it in my garage right now. Oh, man. But we just have been scratching the surface at this point, right?
That's right.
Because we're down to the coup de grace. Well, okay, wait. I wanted to show the clip or play the clip of it because Huell's excitement is palpable. And it's during the time at about 16 minutes where we see not one, but 2 fenders. So if you're not watching the show already along with us, go to Chapman, watch this one. If you're going to just listen right now. Yeah?
Yeah, sounds good.
Now, we spent a good part of the morning wandering around this huge cargo ship. There was lots to see, and if you weren't careful, you really could get lost. But to tell you the truth, what I was really looking forward to was our next destination, a row of ships way in the back of all the rest. It was here we'd truly connect with a rich chapter in our nation's naval past. During World War II, our country built literally thousands of Liberty and Victory ships, which carried cargo and soldiers all over the world. These ships were vital to helping us win that war. Today, only a small handful remain, including this wonderful row of old rusted Victory ships filled with memories.
So this was the part that I was thinking was like, oh, people are on the ship and they're so like choking back the tears and all that kind of thing. But no, it's still just our trio.
Mm-hmm.
Huell, Val, and Gail. Vale. Vale.
Team Vale.
Team Vale. And okay. So all the other ships were beat to heck, but these ones take the cake, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like these rusted, chipped paint, just hunks of junk are super important to some people. Again, we're definitely not the ones who maybe should be representing this whole thing because I don't know, man.
What do you mean?
Like, we're not ship people.
That's
just
true.
like we're not train people.
That's true.
But I don't want to downplay it because, shoot, if there's people like coming and crying on these things, it must have been a big deal.
That's true. But from it's Gail that mentions this, that some people would call and say, "Hey, I'm from Michigan, and I think I was on." Oh, not I think they know what ship they were on.
Yeah.
I was on this ship. Do you have it there? And if they did you hear what she said?
Yeah.
We would let them into the office so they would have a better view. They just cry in the office? That's what I was imagining.
Yeah.
But then there was one exceptional case where there was, what did she say? Emotionally, what did she say? She said they were so emotionally charged, they gave this person a tour. I don't know what that means. But I thought it was funny that Huell gets a tour on a boat.
I know.
And other people who were
like served in the wars and no. So, okay. First off, Huell kind of goes into a whole thing about how there were what, thousands of these things at one point during World War II, at least hundreds, I guess. But they were making them faster than they could count. Now, no, I think Gail says that, but either way, like, even if they're making 10 every minute, I could count them.
Right. There's one, there's two.
You know, I used to watch a lot of How It's Made and like Unwrapped, those kind of shows where they go in factories, and sometimes they'll like slow down a process of like wrapping a Twinkie or something, and then they're like, "This is it at normal speed," and it's just going like that's what I would imagine. But these are 200-foot long boats.
Right,
Like,
right.
I think she's over exaggerating.
Yeah.
Isn't this where Huell gets really emotional about them all like eventually being scrapped? These were these boats, right?
Yeah. Well, he I think it's multiple times he says, you know, these things, they helped us win the war.
Yeah.
Right. He has that perspective on it. So.
And then there was that other story about some guy who had called and said like, "Hey, do you think you could check? I was down in the boiler or something, and I made this handmade sign, and I tucked it back somewhere."
Oh, that's right.
And then Val went and checked it out, and there it was, and he mailed it to the dude. Why couldn't that guy get a tour?
I know, right?
You didn't even invite him. You just like, yeah, we got it here. Just mail it to him.
Well, Huell does make a reference to, he makes an interesting, observation. And that's when he's looking through the window and he sees the bunk beds. And he's like, wow, it's like these are all sealed off.
Mm-hmm.
And Val says, yeah, we scrap what we could. Or basically reuse it. He kind of takes the I don't know, magic from it.
The wind out of his sails?
Yeah, that's it.
Ooh.
I saw it turn in your head. You're ready. And then he's like, yeah, we couldn't really use the bunks for anything, so But then what does he say as well? He says, oh man, we're on the boat, but all the memories are sealed in there.
What?
And so,
And I don't understand what this sealing process is. Like, are they literally welding these doors shut?
I don't know.
That's my imagination running.
They filled in all the cracks.
Yeah. But even Val says that there's even like linen still in the cabinets of these bunks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Like, you guys couldn't reuse that stuff?
Well, and then so again, Team Orvale.
Yeah.
You like that?
Okay.
Or Vale.
Or Vale. I got you.
So maybe that's a better one. I don't know. Or maybe Vale. She says, if we do need to get into these rooms because they're sealed, we go through the proper procedures.
What are the improper procedures?
I don't know.
Bussing windows. So before we get to kind of the what I think is the little funniest part, Val mentions that these ships were also used during the Korean War. And then it kind of flashed on me last night when I was doing the notes that my grandpa was in the Korean War in the Navy, and they mentioned that they were used for evacuation purposes. And my grandpa passed 10 years ago. I can't ask him this, but I'm pretty sure that he was part of that in some way, shape, or form, because he, my whole life, had this big, gaudy, goofy red ring that he would wear. And he told me, or someone told me, the story behind it was that during an evacuation, a father was begging him to take his son with him because his mother was in South Korea and they needed to get the kid to the mother. And he's like, please, please, please. And my grandpa agreed, took the kid, reunited him with his mother, and the mother gave him that ring as a thank you.
That's a crazy story.
It sounds like I never heard it from him, I don't think. But would he get a tour?
I would think so.
Doesn't that sound like a good story
to
get you on the tour?
See, that's something you tell Huell. And then, I'll get you on the tour.
He could pull some strings.
Yeah, I'll pull some strings for you.
Speaking of pulling, you want to tell what he does?
Okay. I'm trying to see the best way to.
It's right at 22:15. Gosh,
you see him reach up with his left hand. Here's the crazy part: the mic is in front of Gail's face. You hear the snap. It's not even that it's really loose. He breaks a piece of paint off of the boat, and then what does he do?
He tries to put it back on first. There's like a split second where he's like, oh, shoot. Trying to just, I didn't do that. Because didn't it seem like he did it almost subconsciously?
Yeah.
And then
the crack, dude, it's so funny.
To crack. Oh, shoot. So I collect historic things. Can I have it? And this is totally your hypothesis about, what's his face? Val. He's like, sure. No problem.
Which it could be illegal. It could not be illegal. I don't know. And I was reading.
They won't even let fools on these boats.
And he just snaps. And then he says, oh, I should collect more of these and sell them to the people.
Oh, gosh. It's kind of messed up.
It is messed up, dude. It's so funny.
Oh, you can't get on the boat that you actually served in the war and your buddies died on? You want some paint? I got paint over here.
Sell it to you.
Huell.
Oh, dude. Man, so actually, I mean, don't take me, this may not be true.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure that the paint from these ships, as they were seeping into the surrounding waters, that there was some action that was taken where a lot of them had to be cleaned Or he may have just taken a toxic piece of paint with him.
I can't imagine it's not leaded paint.
Yeah.
From back then. I mean, that was kind of the norm.
Yeah, I was reading the article on it. Yeah, they've been
So there was like lead getting into the water because of the paint on these boats?
See, I don't want to speak to it necessarily, but I remember reading that. Yeah, there was something.
That could be what was happening. Okay.
Yeah, so, but they've been recycling these ships a lot, and I think there's only 10 left. So.
Still to this day, they haven't.
And now the article's in 2010.
That's how many there were then. So they had the government still hasn't decided what to do with these ships.
I don't know. Just let them float there.
Yeah. Just sit there polluting old Suisun.
Oh, yeah, let's see.
Well, but at the end of the show, we get to visit with Don Dunn again, and he says two funny little things. One is he calls this the showcase of ships, which I think should have been the name of this episode. Missed opportunity there, Huell. Second is he says that the ships here have seen every country.
Uh-huh.
Now, I'm no geographer, but some countries don't touch water.
Oh, no, it's been to Switzerland.
Whatever. Hey, Don is a much more maritime fellow than I ever will be. And if we get to talk to him maybe one day through our new Instagram connection, dude, yeah. You just pulled up a Switzerland or European map. Switzerland is
like uber landlocked.
Unless
there's like
right.
Some river you can't see, but
they could have made some canal. That happens, right?
Yeah.
Either way, is that it?
Well, there is one other thing.
What was the other thing?
Speaking of Dawn.
Did you find Dawn information?
So I didn't find Dawn information.
Oh.
We need to reach out to our that commenter.
I tried. He seemed like he thought that we wouldn't be as excited as we really are.
Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah, no, Don. Yeah, barbecue.
Well,
barbecue Bubba.
Barbecue Bubba?
No, just flowing with the nicknames.
I like it.
Yeah.
He mentions, what was he talking about on the first pass when we first meet him? He was saying how, because you're talking about your war games.
The war games thing.
Yeah, how...
I skipped right over that because I was so excited about the wrestling reference.
You know, he was talking about people rappelling and how these were...
Like, they were like anti-terrorist practice runs.
Dude, I could not get out of my head.
What?
Okay. When I hear people rappelling,
okay,
all I think of, this is all I think of, Three Ninjas. The first scene when people rappel and kick through the windows.
Totally.
Oh, dude, it is seared into my brain.
So here, Aaron and I were talking about... I had never seen Mean Girls. So she made me watch Mean Girls. Much better than I expected, but it was like a Tina Fey movie, so it had better humor in it than I expected. I made
celebrated 15 years, right?
Huh?
I think they just celebrated 15 years.
Yeah, and it's not even that old of a movie, which I thought it was from like many years ago, but Lindsay Lohan's not that old. I don't know what I was thinking. I made her watch Angus.
Mm-hmm.
I think very underrated teen movie of our generation, so like mid to late 90s.
That has the kid from Major Payne.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the best soundtracks, I think. Like the rare Green Day, Weezer songs, all those stuff. It just got us on a kick. We were looking at like Rookie of the Year, The Sandlot, Three Ninjas comes up. And unfortunately, Three Ninjas is one of these movies that's never been released on Blu-ray, and even the DVDs are hard to find. I don't understand this sacrilegious...
it's so good.
I don't get it. Rocky Loves Emily, man.
I would just say, Rocky Loves Emily.
How much did you want one of those string can on a like telescopic communicator things that they had so Rocky and Emily could talk pre-cell phones?
So what he's like, we're not here to hurt you. We're just here to kidnap you.
This is so off topic, but it's so funny.
So you don't actually okay, now we got to get into it.
Okay.
Because Kathleen, there was one time that I've done this.
Okay.
When he's in the van and he's watching the kids ride the bike when he first wants to kidnap her or whatever. And he looks at the sandwich and he says, See you later, mountain man. I think I said it with a, what did I say it with? I think it was a quesadilla. See you later, mountain. Just throw it over my head.
Oh, man.
So,
well, to bring this back, that kind of a thing, there was a whole phenomenon with Angus, too, where it never got released on DVD because of that whole soundtrack. So the VHS was very sought after. Because California's Gold was only ever this, like, you buy them one at a time thing. Now, there's one, like, 10-episode pack that was available for a while. It's weird because the DVDs and the VHS are still have a good, like, aftermarket. Do you ever, like, look at the eBay market for these things?
dude, no.
People still buy them. And I mean, obviously, if you're going on eBay to buy an old VHS, you're probably not actually listening to podcasts that often, unless you're like a VHS freak. Obviously, if you listen to this show, you know that all the episodes are online for free. I get the nostalgia of a VHS tape, but, like, do you think, one, there should be, like, a mega box set? You think that's economically viable?
Of California's Gold?
Yeah, dude. Should Chapman invest in something like that?
Dude, that would be...
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe that's hard. I think it'd be cool to have, but
who's going to buy it?
Honestly, I don't really know that many people.
Beyond
And we're
us.
sort of into this that have VHS players.
DVDs too. I mean, DVDs.
DVDs, yeah.
Okay.
I could see that because I know people that still to this day, they grab 5 or 6 CDs and they take it in their car on a road trip.
Okay.
And they open it and put it in, pull it out, right? It's a thing. So,
yeah.
there's still something to having
tangibility of media, yeah.
But it's trade-off because you want to have the reliability, right? The VHS might fall apart and things can happen. Whatever.
Yeah.
Also, DVDs can get. CDs can get scratched too. So I get that. But
there's a shelf life on the metals that are in them.
That's true.
Okay. Here's the other thought. Something that got brought up by someone on Twitter, and then we started talking to Chapman about it a little bit, and nothing's come of it yet. But I want to get this ball rolling. And if you're listening, email your local congressperson or just Chapman, maybe. Someone threw out the idea of like a 24/7 streaming service.
Oh, yeah.
A Huell channel.
That would be.
Just because that's the thing with this show that got me thinking is that this was not an episodic show where there was continuity and you had to watch the one to know what's happening next and so on. It's singular in each episode most of the time. Most people watch this show just piecemeal whenever they happen to go to PBS or whatever PBS happen to be playing a rerun of. If you could just have it on random at any time and you just know like, I just turn on the Huell channel on my Roku.
Oh, a channel. Okay, I thought you meant like an actual you pick streaming service. Like it was.
I mean, that kind of already exists with Chapman. It's a little different, but I'm saying like they were to invest in a Roku style or Apple TV style channel. Yeah, that's just always going.
I would say, yeah, that would be really cool. I think it'd be cooler than the DVD set. But I'm not much of a collector, as you know. So you would be able to speak more to the package than I would be able to.
I do like that. I do like both. I wish both existed. I like to choose what I'm watching more than a lot of people, maybe. But that the idea of just the mystery of like what's gonna like, is it gonna be an episode of Visiting where he goes to some bakery and then what's next? The California's Golden Parks on Yosemite. Like, it sounds fun, but
yeah,
I hope someone at Chapman is hearing this. We've been in touch with him before, and I think that there's not money on the table, but at least like
there's
interest, and maybe some just the spreading of the gospel a little bit, the Huell gospel that could be done. Maybe I'm just just thinking too high a hopes.
It could be us in our bubble too, but
yeah.
At the same time, I think there's something there though.
Let us know. Y'all need to email us and tell us your ideas too, because not that we have any strings to be pulling or anything, but who knows? Yeah. We could maybe go talk to Chapman about getting something done.
There's only upside. So.
Yeah, I guess. So, where are we going next week?
Dude, you know where we're going.
Oh, I know. This is actually a big one. Like, one of the probably top 5 episodes of the whole show. It's the Firefall.
Doesn't Prodigy have a song on this?
Just kidding. The Firefall, if you haven't heard of it, is like a phenomenon that happens once a year where the sun hits Horsetail Falls at this perfect moment, and it looks like fire.
Yeah.
But we get to learn in this story that there actually was a real firefall, which is so insane. And just it really is one of those other emotional episodes, because people remember this from them being kids and now they're like senior citizens. It's a big one. And Firestarter by Prodigy, you just looked it up. That's what you were talking about?
Yeah.
Oh man. The Firefalls used to be fire starters, but not anymore. So look forward to that is what we're saying, I guess, right?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
They're all fun a little bit.
Maybe you'll tell your story about the Firefall or the Smokefall.
Oh, my last Yosemite trip? Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I guess we can wrap it up then.
Let's wrap it up. All
right, well, come along with us next week. Every week. We continue
our search for
Huell's Gold.